Welcome to today's video. We're doing a wrap up for May. I read 10 books this month, which I don't think I've ever read 10 books. Is it 10 books? Yeah, 10 books. I don't think I've ever read 10 books in 1 month. I do think it was because obviously I did a 24-hour video and I was filming videos. I think I did 3 reading vlogs this month, so that's probably why. I ended up reading 5 thrillers, which I don't think I've ever read 5 thrillers in 1 month. Romance is always like the top amount the books that I read, and then like I maybe read 1 or 2 thrillers a month, but I read 5 this month. I think it's because I was on like a Kindle grind. Like I could not stop reading on my Kindle this month. Should we get started instead of me sat here talking? Let me get my Goodreads up. I actually was looking at my Goodreads last night and I was like, oh my god, I read that book this month. I completely forgot about one of the books I read because I read on my Kindle. Anyway, first book I finished in May was Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This book is about a woman and she gets into a car accident. She's in a coma, but she can still hear everything's going on around her, but she can't like move, she can't open her eyes. And she also can't remember anything that happened on the day of the accident. She doesn't know how she got in the car accident, and you kind of watch her trying to figure out the mystery of what happened through people coming into the room and talking about what happened to her. This isn't my favourite Alice Feeney book. I gave this one, what did I give it? I gave this one 3 stars, which it was good. I just felt like this is also in a reading blog. A lot of the books I read this month are in reading blogs, but I think for me, the characters towards the end of the book, the characters were acting so like not strange, but there were things that was going on that the characters like freaking out about. I was like, why are you even freaking out about this? Like it's nothing to do with you, and it was really weird. And I honestly don't even know the ending. Like I don't know how the ending was. I'm so confused. I don't even know what it means. I was gonna Google it, but don't care enough. But yeah, 3 stars. Then I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is also in the same reading blog as Sometimes I Lie. I read the highest of the most rated books on my May TBR. I ended up giving this one a 2.75. I really did not enjoy this book too much. It's basically about a woman and she inherits her dead aunt's apartment, and her aunt has always told her growing up that her apartment was magical. So when what's her name? Clementine? Everyone Clementine enters the apartment, either the apartment is in present day or it's 7 years in the past. 7 years in the past there is a man living there that her aunt like let live in the apartment for a while. She doesn't want to let him know that he's 7 years in the past and she's trying to figure it out. For me, and the characters didn't interact enough for me to see like a romantic connection. I feel like it felt a little bit instant lovey for me, and I hate instant love. Like I cannot deal with instant love. A lot of this book focused on her work life and her friends and what was going on in her work life, and I didn't care. Like I was like, can we just get on with the romance? Like I know it was like necessary to the plot, but I didn't care at all. So 2.75. But I know so many people love this book, but this wasn't for me. Then on my Kindle I read The Locked Door by Freida McFadden. This is the book I forgot that I read. I just completely blocked it out of my memory. This book is about this girl. When she was younger, her dad used to murder people in the basement. It is now like years later, her dad's in prison and someone is kind of being like a copycat killer, like killing people in the same way her dad was. So obviously she is like one of the main suspects in the murder case, and you're trying to figure out who actually is the murderer. I didn't guess the plot twist. I was very like taken aback by it. I really didn't see it coming. I ended up giving this one a 3.25. Like I enjoyed it, but I wasn't really like, I wasn't on the edge of my seat wanting to know. Like I feel like with a lot of Freida McFadden thrillers, I'm like on the edge of my seat. I want to keep reading. I can't put the book down, but this one I was kind of not bored, but I was okay with putting it down for a while. Then I read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. This is my second to last Abby Jimenez book. I have just read Summer left, and then I have all her backlist read. This is about Vanessa, and she just ended up getting custody of her sister's daughter, because her sister is a drug addict, and her neighbor Josh starts coming over to help her because she's going through it, and then they slowly start like meeting up more, seeing each other more. ALS runs in Vanessa's family, and she's convinced that she's gonna die at an early age because of it, because her sister died and her grandmother died from that disease. So she kind of swears off men. Like she doesn't want to get in a relationship because she's gonna die anyway. However, it's a romance book, so you know what happens. I really enjoyed this one. There was parts where I got a little bit bored and it got a little bit dragged out. Definitely not my favourite Abby Jimenez book. I still give it a 4 stars because her writing is just so good, and I really did enjoy the plot most of the time, but some of the time I was a little bit bored. Then I read Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one I love so much. I give it a 4 stars. This is like a small town country cowboy. They live on a ranch. Brother's best friend trope, which I love. This is about Emmy and Luke. I don't know if she's like a known horse rider, but she like rides horses for a living, I think. And she ends up getting in an accident where she falls off a horse, so she is going through like a mental block. She can't get back on a horse again, she's too scared. So she ends up coming home to her family to live on the ranch with them for a while because she's like really not doing well. Luke finds out this happened to her, so he has offered to teach her to ride horses again, which was really cute. I really liked them. I think the only thing for me that I didn't like about this book was the spicy scenes. Like I could not. They really cringe me out, and I'm not like, I don't care about spicy scenes books. I will read spice, but I feel like their relationship is so cute and wholesome that when I read the spicy scenes, I just was like, this is not very cute and wholesome of you. But 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. Then I read Don't Let Her Stay by Nicholas Sanders. I heard Larry talk about this book and I really wanted to read it. She was like, if you want to read a book and like be completely manipulated, read this book. This book is about a married couple. You're in the wife's POV and they have a 4-month-old baby. The husband has a daughter from a previous marriage, and that daughter now wants to get in contact with her dad again. I think she's like 21 at the time. So the daughter comes to stay with them, and in front of the dad, the daughter acts like completely perfect, like perfect daughter. Like she's always hugging him, being so nice, helping him out. But once the dad is kind of out of the room, out of the way, she is so rude and mean to her now stepmom. And you're trying to figure out why, like what is going on. The stepmom, or like I guess the main girl character, because we get in her POV, is now scared to leave her 4-month-old baby in the presence of her because she is so mean. It gave me kind of like the housemaid vibes, like how the wife and the housemaid would like say something and then contradict herself and like just be a bit crazy. That's kind of how the daughter was. For me, the daughter, even though she was 21, I felt like she was acting like a literal child, and that really annoyed me. I didn't guess the plot twist. I had like inklings of what it could be, but I didn't guess the full overall plot twist. I ended up giving this one a 4.25 rated. I did enjoy it. I could not put it down. I wanted to keep reading. Like I think I stayed up late at night to finish it, so that's how you know I like the book. Then I read King of Pride by Anna Huang. I ended up giving this one, did I give it? I gave this one a 3 stars. This one wasn't my favorite. It's about Kai. What's her name? Isabella. Kai's kind of had this little thing for Isabella for about a year. Isabella sees him and she's like, oh, kind of like you. Isabella works in like a exclusive kind of bar club thing, and Kai is a member there because he's rich, and all Anna Huang's men are pretty much rich. There's like a no staff member like fraternizing. They can't do anything about it. But so they start like meeting up with each other more. It's a bit like a forbidden romance. I really like Kai in this book, and I really was enjoying the book. Up until a certain point, I felt like they were bantering with each other, joking with each other, and then all of a sudden they were in love with each other, and I was like, what's going on? Can you even see the book? I feel like you can't with lighting. So that for me kind of threw it off a little bit. I don't know. I just didn't really feel the connection as much, and I had that problem too with King of Wrath. But yeah, 3 stars. Then I read All the Lies by Nicholas Sanders. I just want another one of her books. I was doing a 24-hour video, and I just wanted one that I knew I could like binge and get through. This is basically about this woman. She's in a very abusive, toxic relationship, and she wants to get out of it, but he has literally cut her off from the entire world. She has no friends, she has no money, no job, she can't do anything, he doesn't let her. Everyone, however, thinks that the husband is like the most perfect husband, loves her so much. He has changed his whole life for her, but he obviously has. One day her mom comes to her and is like, oh, I'm going on a cruise, but the person I'm supposed to go on a cruise with can't go anymore. Do you and your husband want to go on the cruise? And the daughter is like, yeah, like the main character is like, yeah, I will. So she tells her mom she's going with her husband, tells her husband she's going with her mom, and she goes on this cruise alone. She ends up meeting 2 other girls who are also going alone and becoming friends with them. She looks very similar to one of the girls she's like become friends with. And then getting on a ferry, the ferry crashes and she wakes up in the hospital room, and people are calling her by the other girl's name because the other girl was adopted. Her actual like birth parents don't know who she was, and because they look so similar, they thought she was the other character. Her name was Liz. So now I think the main character is Amy. She can decide, she has to decide basically whether she wants to go back and be Amy and return to her husband being in an abusive relationship, not be able to escape, or she could pretend to be Liz for a little while until she finds a way to flee. I really enjoyed it. What did I give it? I give it a 3.75 again. I feel like I should have given it a 4. I will say when I started this book, I definitely was a bit about the domestic violence. Like it was a bit, not a bit much, but I just wasn't, I knew it was a domestic violence, but I didn't expect it to be like that. I feel like I haven't read a domestic abuse book since It Ends With Us, so it's been a while. That was like over 2 years ago. But yeah, 3.75. I did enjoy it. I do like her writing. Her writing's very similar to Alice Feeney, and I want to read more of her books. Then I read The Reappearance of Richard Price by Holly Jackson. I love Holly Jackson's books. This book follows a girl named Belle. I think she's 18 at the time, but when she was 2 years old, her mom got kidnapped and she disappeared into thin air. No one knows where she is. No one can find her. Her family they kind of agreed to do a documentary on the disappearance of Richard Price, who was the mom. And as they're making this documentary, Richard Price appears. The Reappearance of Richard Price. That's what it says. It's not a spoiler. and you're trying to figure out like where she was these past 16 years, what happened to her. For me, the start of this book was so slow. The first, I think it was like 70 pages, I was like, I might have to DNF this book because I was so bored. It was kind of in like the documentary part where they were like making the documentary, and there were so many bits I just didn't care. I was like, I need this to pick up a bit, and I feel like I'm usually with Holly Jackson books, I'm always they're always very entertaining for me, and I'm never really bored with this one. Just the first 70 pages and then the ending as well, I was a little bit like, can we speed this up a bit? It is quite a long book, it's like 400 pages, so I didn't guess the plot twist. I thought it was, no, like I was never gonna guess what happened to her. There was like things that like they said early on in the book and I kind of picked up on. I was like, oh, this is gonna come up later, and it did, but they were just very like minuscule things. I ended up giving this one a 3.75. It's definitely not my favourite Holly Jackson book. Like, it's not going to be a Good Girls Guide to Murder. I did prefer this one better than As Good as Dead, which is the third book in that trilogy. On my Goodreads, the third book is a 4-star, but I think, obviously, I read that book, I think, like a year and a half ago. And, like, I've read more books, my taste has changed. So this one is a 3.75. So if I was to reread As Good as Dead, I'd probably give it, like, a 3.5. But 3.75, I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. It just, for me, it was just a little bit slow in some parts. And then lastly, I just finished The Rulebook by Sarah Adams. I actually listened to this one on audiobook. I think I read the first maybe like 70 pages and I wasn't enjoying it, so I switched to audiobook. This is about Nora and Derek, and they were together when they were in college, broke up, and now Derek is in the NFL and he needs an agent, and Nora ends up being his agent. And because she broke his heart back in college, he is trying to be the worst client ever, making her do silly things so that she will quit, but she doesn't give up on him. I think this book has every trope under the sun. Not really. It's second chance, there's a one bed trope in here, fake dating, fake marriage. There's a lot going on. For me, I don't know if Sarah Adams' writing is for me. I think I really enjoyed Practice Makes Perfect, but I think that might have been like a one-hit wonder with her books. I just once again was bored. I still will give it 3 stars. Like, it took me probably 50% of the book, to be fair, to actually feel a connection with them and like them as a couple. I like Nora. For me, she was very quirky, like, I don't know, but that's it. I don't know what else to say. I gave it 3 stars. I still enjoyed it. And they're all the books that I read this month. Was that 10 books? I did that, I feel like, very quickly. I had a pretty good reading month, I would say. I don't know, I enjoyed most of the books I read. A lot of 3.75s, I've realised. When you read so many books, I know like 3.75s are just so annoying, like just give it a 3 or 4, but it's just like, when you read so many books, it's hard to like, be like in a 1 to 5 scale. That's it. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I read, what you read in May. That's it for me. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you so soon in the next one.